Hey guys, Brian here. Hope everybody's doing okay. Definitely a hot one today. Good Lord, it was hot. Alright, today we are going to go over my game that I had on Saturday morning. This is round 2 of Season 7 of the Lichess 45+45 League. And I am playing as black, and my opponent is Autotelic, and he's rated about 1995. And he opens up with knight f3, and this move actually keeps white very flexible. There's a lot of different things that he can do here and can transpose to basically just about anything. You can go g3, d4, there's lots of maneuvers, but moving the knight first takes a grip over the e5 square. And there's just many ways that white can continue his development. But I always answer knight f3, d4, c4 with, which is, you probably know by now, is that I always open up with f5. And here white plays the very interesting d3. He obviously wants to come up and push the pawn to e4. So this is a very interesting way to combat the Dutch. So I place my knight on f6, which helps. So now we have this fight going on over e4, but here he kind of surprised me a little bit and played e4 anyway. And I had to take a moment to think about this move. So what is white trying to gain from this? And we can see he's offering up a free pawn, which looks tempting. However, after calculating a little bit into it, if I took on e4, and after pawn takes, knight takes, I didn't like the way that this move looked. Attacking my knight and trying to take advantage of my first move of f5, because now I have this weakness here. So basically all my light squares surrounding my king are fairly weak, and if I retreat, he can play knight to g5, and after g6 he can kind of do two different things here. He can take on h7, and after the rook takes, the bishop takes, and the only way to defend is rook to f7. So that looks really, really weird for black. I think when I went over that, the computer said that this was kind of equal, but I just can't believe that. You're getting a good amount of material, and black's king is like wide open, and all these pawns are about to come crashing in. So yeah, that does look a little strange to me. Also, white could try, instead of taking on h7, is that he could go ahead and just push this h pawn, and once that pawn reaches h5, it's going to look very, very uneasy for black. And so this is the reason why I did not want to take on e4. So I just played d6, let my bishop defend f5, defend f5, and as well prepare e5 myself. Alright, so here he takes, bishop takes f5, d4. Alright, so this all looks pretty normal now. Knight b to d7, and I'm just trying to push e5. If I can push e5, I know I'll have a pretty decent position. But here white plays this, I guess he's trying to play natural moves, but here c4 just doesn't work. It's a little too slow, and it allows me to play e5. Alright, so a better option for white would have just been to play bishop to d3. And I think this pretty much keeps things equal, and excuse me, that's not bishop e3, that's bishop d3. Oh, yeah. I do want bishop d3. Sorry. There I go again. It does keep things equal, and white may actually turn out a little bit better, especially after bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, e5, queen to b3, which is a very nice move because it takes advantage of this diagonal, and now my king can't castle this way, and it also targets b7, and after e takes, castles bishop to e7. Yeah, things are looking a little uneasy for black. White's easily going to regain this pawn. He needs to do something with this queen so he can castle. So after bishop to e7, you know, there's several things that white can try here. You know, black wants to play knight c5, push his queen up and castle queen side, simply because king side is just out of the question right now. Alright, so c4 is just a little too slow. White needs to go ahead and quickly develop and get his king over to safety and pretty much just equalize the position. So here, e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5. And this is actually a slight error on my part. It would have just been better to take with the pawn, and then game would continue with bishop e2, bishop e7, probably both castle here. Alright, and then, you know, there's white probably wants to develop his bishop or his knight, you know, just doing normal stuff. Yeah, that looks good. Alright. But here, you know, also on this point, I think white might actually be a little bit better. You know, let's look a little bit further. Let's try to get these pieces developed. So, knight to c3. And then, let's go, do we want c6? Yeah, that's what I've written down. I don't know, interesting. But it looks good. It looks good for white. But knight takes e5 is a slight error. Taking with the pawn would have been a little bit better. Oh, that's why I'm reading the wrong note. Yeah. Let's look at this one more time just to make sure I did it correct, did the variation correctly, because there was a point to it that I wanted to show. Alright, so d takes e5, bishop to e2, here we go. I guess bishop e7 is just as good. Bishop to b4 check, bishop to d2, queen to e7, yeah, castles, I think I need to drop the bishop back, yep, knight c3, castle long ways, so yeah, everything looks good here. So there's really no telling where the game can go at this point. Alright, well, let's just get back into it. Alright, so my opponent did take with the knight, and this is not good on his part. White really needs to go ahead and finish development and go ahead and get his king over into safety and figure out what he wants to do with these pieces on the queen side. And then after that, you know, just this was the line that I got mixed up on the other one. So castles, castles, knight d4, bishop d7, knight c3, c6, and after f4, white has a little bit of advantage. His knights are a little bit better placed. He's got more central space, and black has a few problems that he's going to have to deal with, mainly his pawn structure and this diagonal. Once the queen comes into b3, you know, there could be some weird little stuff with the c4 push and having a discovered check on my king. So there is that, and that would have been a pretty good chance for white to equalize. So after d takes e5, queen to f3, and queen to f3 is completely wrong. As soon as he played it pretty quick. Actually, he played this game entirely quick. As soon as he played this, I immediately felt that this was wrong, that now there's something in the position that I could go for. Sure, he doesn't necessarily want to trade queens, and he's eyeing b7, but b7 is really not a concern. Now there are some tactics within the position. A much better choice would have been queen to b3, and the reason why this queen b3 is pretty much necessary is that it keeps an eye on the b5 square from the bishop, and you'll see this on my next move. What I was able to find that this diagonal right here plays a vital role in my attack on the white king. And after queen to b3, you know, it's a little still unclear with bishop c5, bishop e2, knight to e4, yeah, castle, castle, bishop to e3. And yeah, this actually looks pretty decent for white. Things could continue with bishop to here, knight to d2, bishop takes, knight takes, bishop back to d4. Bishop f3, and there's a part of this variation that I wanted to go over. To get to it, bishop to e6. Notice that my b7 pawn is hanging in this analysis right here, but it's not necessarily a good idea for black to take, or for white to take, because if rook to b8, you know, the queen's got to go to c6 or a6. Well, that's c6, that's a6. So after queen to a6, rook to b8, b6, woo. Queen to a4, bishop d7. The queen's going to have to come back to d1. And after rook takes, white has a few issues now, and I think black has an advantage in this position, which was very interesting. So that's pretty much why white doesn't want to take on b7, is because it allows black to counterattack and penetrate on the second rank here. Alright, so with queen f3, there's an immediate tactic that black needs to take advantage of, and it took me a few minutes to sort it all out, and I was glad that I found it. So bishop takes b1, rook takes b1, and finally the point of why white's queen needs to be on b3 instead of f3 is that it defends this diagonal on b5 from the bishop, b4, excuse me. So bishop b4 check, and this is very, very dangerous for white. White now has to move his king, and basically forfeits the right to castle. So king to e2. Notice, this is just bad. Bishop to d2, because that's just mate right there on the spot, and that wouldn't be too fun. It's kind of embarrassing, really. All right, so king to e2. So now white needs to play very cautiously. Black already has a tremendous edge in the position, just simply because white is underdeveloped and his king is forever stuck in the middle. So this is bad news bears for white. So I castled. I wanted to get my own king safe and out of the way, because this center is just completely open, and there's just way too much stuff to have your just go ahead and get the king out of the way and protected. Bishop g5. The computer thinks this is inaccurate, and yeah, it does develop a piece, and it kind of freezes rook to kind of come over to help things out a little bit, and it pins the knight to the queen. However, the engine seems to like queen to b3 instead, and this attacks the bishop. It still kind of defends, maybe holds things down a little bit for a little bit longer, and it also prevents a key aspect that I want to do in this position, and that's to push e5 to e4. And if I can get this, I'm attacking the queen with tempo. So by playing queen to b3, I no longer have that move with tempo, even though he still can't take the bishop on b5, because that just leaves d3 wide open. And once the king goes back, he's just dropping a rook. And also I have plans to bring this knight up. This rook is coming in to d8. So yeah, white it's really not easy to defend against this. Alright, so queen b3 was pretty much the only thing that he could do to kind of help tidy things down, but even still it's not clear. So bishop g5, I get my e4 move in, attacking the queen with tempo. Now the queen has to move, which he does, to b3. When I was looking over this game, there was the suggestion of going to e3, and yeah, it kind of holds things together a little bit. The queen's still doing its job of defending, but after queen to e3, you got queen to d7, and the point of queen to d7 is to come up to g4 and infiltrate that way. So even still, after a3 attacking the bishop, queen g4, f3, pawn takes. White is clearly in a whole heap of trouble. So yeah, that didn't really pan out too well either way. So there's that. So either way, the queen's going to come in, whether white likes it or not. So I played king h8, and I played this move in order to kind of get out of the way of this diagonal, and I figured this would just kind of hold things together for me, and I wouldn't have to worry about any tactics. I'm already winning on the board, so by doing this, it just kind of makes sure that everything's good on my side. He still can't take on here because of queen to here check. So that's really not an issue, and that's what I was thinking. Well, maybe he could, if he's tempted to take, maybe I can let him bite, but that's not the case. instead of king h8, it's just better to keep the guns blazing, and that is with the idea of queen to d7 still. And after queen to d7 and bishop to e3, you know, white needs to try to coordinate and defend as best as he can. But there's this very nice move here, knight to d5. And that's actually a very hard move to spot. When I was looking at it, I was like, what is going on here? White can't take because of this. And the reason why it's such a good move is because it clears the f file. And the king has nowhere to run. All the squares are covered, so he has to play f3. And after takes, you know, this rook is falling. You know, everything is just falling apart for white, and mate is probably soon around the corner. So that's why it would have been much better for just go ahead and play queen to d7, keep the momentum going, and let the attack happen. I had nothing to worry about, so this was just an uncalled for error by my end. Whoops. Sorry about that. Did not mean to lose you. Alright, so after queen takes b4, which is a terrible idea. Even in the game, I was like, whispering to the chatters. I was like, I don't know why he's playing this. But this is like the end-all moves that white could have done. h3 defends g4 from queen d7, you know. Rook d1 helps things out a little bit. So there are a few options that white could have had that could have held on for just a wee bit longer. Alright, so queen takes b4, definitely the fatal error. And here we have queen to d3 check, attacking the rook, and king goes back to e1, queen takes rook check, king to d2, rook a to d8 check, and after king to c3, rook d3 check, and mate is in 1. So white resigned here because the only thing white can do is to take, and after takes, queen takes, and that is mate. So yeah, after 17 moves, white resigns, and I win another one with the black pieces. Now this week I am up against a this is probably going to be my hardest opponent that I've probably had in the league. I'm going to actually study a little bit for him. He's rated like 2100 FIDE, which is really good. So we'll see how that goes. That game's going to be on Saturday. So yeah, I'm going to have to study up on him and see if I can't find some weaknesses and stuff like that. You know, do all the good hard work stuff. So yeah, I'll do another video once that game is done. If I have the time, I might do a video of all the games that we've played this past week for round 2. If I have the time, I don't know if I will. But alright, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it. Have a good rest of the week. Alright, bye.